Do you ever wonder how great leaders in the community make things happen? When they encounter new, unexpected challenges like a pandemic, how do they continue to successfully make an impact? Welcome to That Sounds Terrific, the podcast that connects you with these amazing people. Get insights on what they do to meet their goals, find out how you can help them in their mission, and learn their methods so you can be more successful at what you do. Welcome to That Sounds Terrific with host Nick Koziel.
Hi, everybody. Welcome back to another episode of That Sounds Terrific. I'm your host, Nick Koziel, and joining me today is Coach Ron Hunt. Thank you for being on the show, Ron. Really pleased to have you here and ready to hear about what you're doing.
It's awesome to be here. And we were just talking about podcasts and 2 years in, and the amazing opportunity that you're giving to entrepreneurs to share their gifts with your audience and for me to meet new cool people. So it's awesome to be here. I'm working on two major projects right now. I dropped a coaching course online about a month ago called Success Syndrome, which helps people when they get promoted at work and don't feel that they're up to the task or didn't deserve the promotion, and they're second guessing themselves and they're writing 50-page emails where 5 words would suffice.
Right.
So it's actually the 52 habits that everybody needs to be super successful in life, but I've condensed them into 5-page mini reports. So it's sort of like popcorn. Awesome. If you do one a week, you are going to be the coolest person in a year.
That's so cool. It kind of like reminds me, even though it's not an everyday thing, it reminds me of those flip calendars where you have like, here's your thing that you need to work on. That'd be cool.
Well, it's interesting because we've gone from LinkedIn to Instagram as our main social media channel, and most people who follow me on Instagram follow me at imposter_syndrome_SPE because that's as short as they would give me. But every morning I do 15 seconds, and it's one thing that you can take and implement immediately into your life. So my wife says, "You're giving away 6 months of free coaching on the internet." And I said, "Yeah, and I'm helping people all around the world. And some of those people will come back into my existence, and some of the people will share, and it all works out in the end."
Yeah, no, I think you're absolutely right. There's been a lot of that. There's a gentleman that I've had on this podcast before, Ben Albert, who talks a lot about, giving first, being there to network first. And he's very genuine when it comes to that. And I see that through your posts. And you're right. People are going to look at what you're doing, go, hey, this guy knows what he's doing. This is great free advice. I want to learn more. I'm sure he knows more. And some people need that hand holding too.
Exactly. Yeah. I can teach you to fish, or I can give you a fish, and right. Teaching you to fish is going to be better every single time.
Yeah, for sure. So no, I'm a big supporter of that kind of marketing of oneself, like especially with coaching. You need to, I've been on episodes of podcasts or even listened to podcasts where they like go over and over about like my method, and they never really tell you anything about their method. So
you have to give people a taste. One of the things that I actually do is I give away 15 minutes of free coaching if people are willing to do it on Instagram Live.
Awesome.
So if someone is extroverted enough to put it out there, because everyone will come to a coach and say, well, I'd like to get more done. And so the coach's job is to ask, do you have a problem with procrastination?
Sure.
Because it's the follow-up question that actually gets people to talk about their feelings. And once you get people to talk about their feelings, you can actually incorporate some change into their lives.
I think you're absolutely right with that. And I love the idea of having it on Instagram Live and kind of sharing what an experience with you as a coach would be, and also giving out more free advice there, right?
Absolutely. Instagram Lives are not valued by Meta as much as Reels are. They're trying to promote Reels to compete with TikTok.
Yeah.
God bless them. As an internet sort of entrepreneur, you have to go where the low-lying fruit is.
Sure.
It's great to have those 10-minute long videos on YouTube where you break everything down. But I have to be honest with you, unless you're Evan Carmichael, you're not getting 1,000 hits on that.
Yeah, no, I think you're right. And that's something I've been slowly sort of dabbling into, like way too slowly. But you mentioned TikTok, and there's another guy that I have that's on the support reel of this show, with his video creator network, Neil Carroll, who last month had a TikTok month, and it was extremely interesting, with a variety of different guests talking about like the value of being on that network and the difference and in sort of the way that they value content, right? TikTok is a much more content-based algorithm than Facebook, Instagram, and a lot of the other, especially LinkedIn, a lot of the other social media companies have had. Now, I know there's a trend to kind of tweak that. But if you're putting out good content on TikTok, people are going to see it, especially people that are interested in that. And the theory is, in my own personal theories, I'm probably more likely to go viral on TikTok than I would be the other platforms right now.
And the thing that I like to remind creators out there is that if you actually go live on Instagram, you can save that, download it, and upload it to TikTok, upload it to Reels, take little pieces of it. You don't have to spend all day on this.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people overthink their social media campaigns and spend way too much time on social media anyway. Well, I was there.
Yeah.
But one of the things that I coach, and I'd hold it up, but with my bandwidth, you probably can't see it. There's a calendar. And the calendar says 9 o'clock podcast, 10 o'clock motorcycle, 11 o'clock wedding. 8 o'clock was talking about my wind turbine project, because one of my coaching specialty is inventors. I've been running with engineers for 40, 50 years, running nonprofits and things like that.
Sure.
And engineers have always been interesting people to bounce against, because they all know that there's only one perfect way to do things. Yeah. So if an organization wants to have a fair or a carnival, they're willing to argue about it from the day that it's designed to the day that it's actually held, instead of actually doing the work.
Right.
So there's something called Clifford personalities. There are personality tests all over the internet. You can take a free personality test, but certain people work with engineers better. Someone who can organize them. I was referring to it this morning as juggling cats, because I was explaining it to a non-engineer of how it actually goes. You have to let people understand that their idea is very, very good, but there are many roads to the top of the mountain. Right. So it's great when we can actually channel that energy into a project that gets finished. That's what I'm working on right now with an inventor out of Schenectady County, New York. He invented something called the MRI machine for GE back in the day. And he's invented a wind turbine that is 37 times more efficient than the current models. So we're going to solve global warming. You're going to put one of these up on your roof. It's going to power your house, your 2 electric cars, and give you the storage you need when the wind isn't blowing at 6.5 miles per hour. And here's a little aside for everyone. The wind averages 11 miles per hour. Yeah. So people who don't think that windmills or wind turbines are part of the solution really haven't seen the science on it.
Yeah.
So, but it's a startup. So, I mean, here we are herding cats, getting certified by universities and pitching venture capitalists, and basically you bleed money for years. That's basically and then one venture capitalist will offer you, and we had a guy from Shark Tank offer us $1 million for the patents, and we turned them down.
Right.
Because we don't want to see it buried. Our main
I was just going to say that
our altruistic goal is to replace the existing wind turbines, get rid of the coal, get rid of the natural gas, get rid of the nuclear, and take all the existing turbines, send them to the third world so they can get rid of their power plants, but also provide their people with clean energy and water, and have the rest of the world love America again.
Yeah.
So that's the nonprofit arm of it. So
Sure.
so there is a manifesto. We have a good goal.
Yeah, no, I think that's a great goal. It's a terrific goal. And, who wouldn't want like great clean energy that, makes the world a better place? I can think of a few major companies that might not want that. But I think you're right. I was actually going to say, right, where I kind of spoke over you a little bit, where there are people that would pay for that patent to bury it. I have a good friend that's a retired patent attorney that has told me some interesting stories about things that he's seen in his realm. But I think it's great that you have that niche area of helping our creative engineers to kind of focus on getting things through. Being at a college, I work at University of Rochester right
Sure.
now, and I actually work in this area of data science with this center of excellence. So there might be some cool little partnerships that I could see with you guys in the future, because there's a lot of state support coming from that through that center. uh, in any event, what I was trying to say was, like, there's so many opportunities for these great minds to like do these projects through business, but some of those great minds lack the business sense or lack the ability to stand up in front of people and explain their idea coherently, to dumb it down enough where people can understand it, or are just too nervous of a person. Like, we were talking a little bit about personality tests, I think, before we went on the air. Some people are just closet introverts, like, not closet, or just introverts, and can't talk in front of groups. um
It's funny because during the pandemic, I actually put out a video course which I'll offer to your listeners for free, called 7 Days to Live, where
mhm,
even the most introverted person, in 7 days, if they go about it Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, by Thursday or Friday, they can produce a decent live that they can be proud of instead of beating themselves up.
right.
But let's circle back.
Sure.
You were talking about introverts and being able to speak in public. When I speak to a group of engineers, one of the first things I say is, my name is Ron, and I translate engineer into English.
Right.
And about half of the room will laugh. So that's a good number.
Yeah.
Whenever you can tell a joke and half the room laughs, it's not a bad thing. But it's true. You can be the most brilliant person in the world, but if you cannot put it in a language that an investor, that a homeowner,
Right.
that the end user, I always call them, when you can get zero person information. That's the most valuable information to any corporation. And most corporations have to hire consultants to get it because they cannot speak directly to their audience.
Sure.
And it's a shame, because how much easier would life be if we could just tell people we do not need 26 shades of gray in our earthenware. At the end of the day, if there are 24 different colors of clothing, 50% of the people are going to buy black.
Yeah.
It's just always been that way. But people always are looking, again, for the perfect solution, to tweak something, to bring in a new consultant. They feel they're not earning their money unless they change something, but they haven't actually tested to see what works first.
Right.
But where it all ties together is the science of change. Because as society changes and individuals change, they all look for the same thing, and they don't want to change. Even though people are paying $500 a month for their national grid bill in our area this week.
Yeah.
All my neighbors are complaining. I'm kind of lucky. We went solar 10 years ago.
Yeah.
And when we got two plug-in hybrids, we put a couple more solar panels on our roof. So our national grid bill, with the hot tub, with the air conditioning and with the two cars we don't put gas into was $45 last month.
Yeah. Yeah. We went
And
solar too.
good for you.
Yeah.
And people have to understand that it's easy enough to do. It's a short-term project that provides you long-term benefits. It's just not that hard, but it involves change. And the science of change says if the outcome that people see isn't twice as good as what they're currently getting, they're not going to do it.
Mm-hmm.
And the same thing with science. It's not enough to invent a better mousetrap if you can't say that you're going to catch twice as many mice.
Mm-hmm.
So if you do come up with an invention, you have to be able to articulate to the end user, your zero user,
Yeah.
why it is that much better. And then if you can reinforce it by getting a couple of the products out there and getting that proverbial Google review.
Right.
People love that. In my coaching life, I've got all 5-star Google reviews. And I respect that to the extent where if someone isn't a good fit, I refer them out right away instead of taking their money. Because it's not worth it to either one of us in a coaching relationship if I can't give you the value, or I can't get you after the first, I call it a 3-strike rule. If after 2 or 3 sessions, you haven't done what you agreed to do, I will refer you to someone who might be able to help you better than I can. Because it's just not, I'm blessed. I'm at the point in my life, and I know you are too, where we get to choose our projects as much as our opportunities choose us.
Right.
And that's a very, very cool place to be if you allow yourself the discipline to do it.
Yeah. No, I think you're absolutely right. And, I love coaches that are able to do that, that don't just keep people on, for the money part of the thing, right? Because money makes people wacky sometimes. So I also have had, other coaches that I've spoken with where they'll recommend their closest competitors. And it's because they want that person to kind of go, hey, there's other people out there that might be a better fit for you. And then a lot of times those people end up coming back, if they go and test the waters at all. So why not, your system works. So, but it doesn't work for every single person. And your idea of helping people can be achieved by referring them to someone else too. So I love that.
And also what coaches should be doing is they should be asking growth mindset questions. Employers have learned this technique. Are you capable of working with other people? What do you think about change?
Right.
Let people have an emotional response. I don't like change. Oh, that's great. Why don't you like change? Because they've seen a negative outcome in the past. Okay. How long ago was that? And you'll be, if they're honest, a lot of that happened between 0 and 5.
Right.
Where all these no's got built into their subconscious. Don't do this. Don't do that. My favorite was, I grew up in Manhattan in New York City, and it's don't go across the street, unless the light is green. Well, I tell you what, if you go across the street when the light is green in New York City, you will get hit by a taxi or a bus
or an
every
ambulance
day of the week.
Yeah, I almost got hit by an ambulance doing the crosswalk thing that wasn't even on a call. So I know what you're talking about.
So you have to be able to break it down for people, and everyone has those little things in their life, and it's such a breakthrough to actually get to that point with someone and have them say, maybe that isn't serving me.
Yeah.
And you go, great, what would serve you better? And then you give them, the plate of options. You give them a buffet. And I like to say, I walk people to 3 sources of water. Because again, if I walk people to 1 source of water and tell them to drink, either they will or they won't. But by the time they get to the third pond, it's like, maybe I'm thirsty, so I've done a little work there.
Yeah.
And then in the back of some of these smarter people, it's like, this guy's going to walk me all day.
No, I think the options thing is very important because, especially in this day and age, it just seems in general, people don't like to take that first step or that first option. They almost are scared of it because, like, what are you trying to do to me? You know? And circling back to what you were saying a little earlier about like the social media aspect and I raised my hand. The viewers can see that, but the people on the audio can't, right? So I spend way too much time thinking about what I should be posting and not posting.
Exactly.
And in general, and here the question is coming, I swear. In general, I don't take my own advice. I give, like what a lot of people say, great advice. I've coached like you in the past, individuals, and given them lots of different direction for them to kind of self-improve, right? But I don't take my own advice. So my question to you is like, do you take your own advice? And is that hard for you?
Oh, absolutely. I'm married. I have a mirror. There's never any opportunity where, and this from business, when you are entering, or in personal life, if you're entering a relationship, the first thing you try to do is listen more than you talk, and then mirror something back
Mhm.
that the person has said to make them understand that you actually are listening. Now, if it's a sales conversation, if I get you to yes,
Mhm.
if I get your money, your investment, whatever it is, that's fantastic. Here's the next couple steps. And then the idea is to get off the Zoom as quickly as you can, because you don't want to have people second guess themselves, because buyer's remorse
Right.
is, again, this is a huge impediment. You were talking about starting projects. People have to understand the motivation to start the project. They have to believe in something bigger than themselves. Global warming, your children, something that is bigger than yourself, you will stick out that bad day of work for more than yourself.
Right.
So that's the motivation part of it. So my wife will catch me sometimes where I got someone to say yes, and yes is the yes, and she's learned the second part of this on the back of the t-shirt. We'll get there. I promise. I'm not gonna wear your audience out. So she'll catch me going, okay, great. We're going to talk next Tuesday at 8:00, because you always make the second appointment when you can,
Right.
after, so that people know what the follow-up is.
Sure.
And she'll go, you were really short with that person. And I said, you didn't see the 20 minutes of hand holding and motivation and motion that we went through, and the dancing, and and the dinner.
Right.
You're just seeing the kiss goodbye. So she'll call me on that all the time, and I'll just smile. But she'll also know that if we're having a quote discussion about something that we don't have perfect agreement on in the house,
Right.
that if either one of us says yes, we should know to quit. So that part of it she likes.
Yeah. Well, how is she about the kiss goodbye thing?
Um, she likes kisses goodbye. She likes hugs. I'm a big fan of.
I meant with your other clients. I just thought that was funny.
Well, she understands the metaphor. If I have to
Yeah.
explain the metaphor to her, I'm not explaining it clearly enough to anybody else.
Yeah. No, I was just trying to be funny.
You were funny, but this is when it's better to have two people in the room. Somebody would have
Right.
laughed.
Yeah. No, yeah, that's true. Hopefully people at home or on their cars and their commutes are laughing. They can laugh at
Love
me
it.
too if they want to as well. So that's great though. I was thinking too, when you were saying like you need to know when to step off the gas, right? When they're hooked, and when you have that client, or that business going, and then you also know how to the best way to follow up for each person's a little different, right? I agree. Setting that next meeting is going to set the tone for the rest of the conversation, and I'm a big advocate for not hanging up, right? Before we set that next meeting, because it's that much harder to go, okay, well, here's the follow-up email, or go on my Calendly. So
Oh, absolutely. What I do is I have my Calendly, or I'm using Book Me Now, which
yeah.
is very similar.
Yep.
I have that open, and I go, do you have I've got my calendar open, and that's a cue for you to open your calendar, and organically we make that next appointment.
Right.
You can have those subtle hints where, would you like to go to dinner? All of a sudden they're thinking, well, if we go to dinner, maybe we'll go dancing later, right? It creates a little motion and momentum in your relationships.
Yeah, no, you're right. So okay, so you're sort of saving the world through conservation efforts, through the project with the engineer regarding why can't I think of the airflow thing? Yeah,
It's called a wind turbine.
wind turbine. I wanted to say windmill so bad. I know that's not right, and we
we
have a
have we
whole
have
bunch of them.
we have 23 patents on it, and one of the coolest things, and I always tell people about this, is that it's a sealed unit. So our wind turbines do not hurt any eagles.
Right.
So, and because it's a sealed unit, there's 75% less vibration, which means that parts wear out
Less.
10 years further down the line.
Mhm.
But we've been talking about all these things for 50 years. We've been talking about a gas engine, a self-driving cars,
Right.
flying cars, and I want everyone to understand. And this is the point that whenever I do any public speaking about, saving the world, you don't have to believe in global warming
Right.
to want to improve things. All you need to do is look at pictures of the Colorado River,
Mm-hmm.
and deserts that weren't there 2 years ago, glaciers that have lost 90% of their ice and are raising the sea levels by a foot.
Yeah.
Many, many, many years ahead of schedule. So it's time, but they're brilliant people taking big swings. Whenever I go to an energy conference, I meet the most brilliant people.
Yes.
Some of which have been able to translate engineer into English.
Yeah.
So I love that. But the thing about New York State, and Rochester is a hotbed of wind energy, and I've got a lot of friends out in Rochester. Love you guys. Nobody talks to each other still. It's sort of like 1,000 different hospitals doing 1,000 different tests on the same cancer. There are computers now. You should be able to share all that information in real time. There's a wind conference out in Buffalo, October 11th this year. Coincidentally, there's a wind conference in Mirror Lake, New York, the same day.
Yep.
Clean energy. It makes no sense to me.
Right.
Because we should be at both conferences, but we can't be. So we can't share all the best information, all the results with the wider audience that everybody needs to communicate together with, because for some reason, regions can't discuss having energy conferences with each other in New York State.
Yeah, communication is a challenge, even just within one company or within one educational area. It's just like sometimes departments don't know what the other department is doing. There's a financial institution that I worked with several times, and I can't tell you how many times they're going to the same event, and 3 different departments of like different wings of that company show up and like, hey, I didn't know you guys were coming, because like they don't talk to each other. And there's different initiatives that they're both like trying to do that need that technology or need that particular conference. So I get what you're saying. Trying to get a whole state with individuals together to try to get them all on the same page is a monumental task, right? Um,
It's juggling cats.
you back to your engineers,
Someone really should have that job.
right? That's awesome. Well, I mean, it kind of weaves into data science, like the stuff that
Right.
I'm sort of pushing right now, and trying to like collaborate more with businesses and New York State, and getting that economic impact. But so yeah, so you're saving the world through wind energy, and you are saving individuals through coaching. What else is Ron Hunt doing to like make a terrific impact? I mean, is there more? It almost sounds like there's
There,
got to be more.
I so some of my coaching clients are taking big swings at huge fixed mindset organizations, and we are changing some huge things in New York State and hopefully the country. I can't talk about all of them right now,
Specifics, yeah.
but you think about some of the problems we've had for years and years and years.
Mhm.
I've got a couple ladles in some of those pots, and I'm stirring as fast as I can.
Yeah. Yeah. No, that's great. And one other thing that I thought of with the whole energy thing, because taking it from the perspective of global warming, like you were saying, you don't have to believe in that. And I'm a like I believe in that. I believe that the environment is you think about the butterfly effect. Every little thing that
Sure.
you're doing affects something, right? That so I have recently sort of taken the approach of, not explaining about like why I do solar from an environmental sense. I
Right.
talk more about the benefits and the cost savings and the business sense around it. And I'm getting more traction with that. So have you ever kind of taken that route, a little bit more, especially with someone who's so like there is no global warming?
My videographer does
Yeah.
not believe in global warming because he watches what I like to call faux news. So, but I would say 30% of your listeners, that's what they watch.
Right.
So it's interesting. But here's how I explain it to them. Let's say the Colorado is dry for another reason. Let's say the almond farmers in California are using way too much water, which they are. The Mississippi has too much water right now.
Right.
So we can take the wind turbines and move that water from Mississippi west at a reasonable cost. And it has nothing to do with global warming.
Hmm.
And then their eyes light up.
Yeah.
So I think that it's, again, we live in an interesting world.
Yeah.
The pharmaceutical companies, the oil companies have owned more than half of our senators and politicians for more than our lifetimes.
Hmm.
So if it wasn't, it used to say, if it's not good for GM, it's not good for the USA. I grew up with that.
Yeah.
And I never understood it until I realized that they had veto power over a car that got 50 miles per gallon.
Right.
That they had veto power over electric cars in the 1970s. If there are documentaries on all of this. This is the whole thing of tying social media and the global warming together, is to document it.
Yeah.
To be able to put it up on not just TikTok and LinkedIn, but to actually have something up on Netflix, because that's streaming is the new way that people are getting their product.
Yep. Yeah.
But if when I look at certain things around streaming, the major advertising arm for ads and streaming is Roku, which you wouldn't understand if you didn't study it. But if you buy a Coca-Cola ad on Roku, it costs you $1, even though you're getting more views than the $2 you're spending on ABC for the same ad.
Yeah.
So if you're an advertiser, eventually you can see all of that shifting Just like it used to shift from the phone books, that used to land on our porch every spring for most of our lives,
Yeah.
to Google. So you have to play the cards that you're dealt. You
Mhm.
know, and that's basically what I bring to the table.
Sure.
It's not just the translation, it's the reaching out, it's the networking, it's listening to other people's problems and solving one of their problems, because they're going to introduce you to the person who's going to help you. It's a totally different um, architectural system than we grew up just working for one company all of our lives, or listening to one channel.
Yep.
There's a whole variety of information. We need to get back to that as a country, as a universe. We need to be able to communicate in the middle. We do not have to put, if something's polarized, let's focus on what we all can agree upon. We
Right.
should all be able to agree upon, investing in our children. We should
Mhm.
all be able to agree upon that everyone should have clean drinking water. It's not that hard.
I'm laughing because I think now you went from, a traditional like news channel, like feeding you what they wanted to feed you, right? Or, and there was some sort of control around that messaging, to so much messaging from so many different areas that now you're trying to kind of figure out what is the real message. And that's where like the whole, like you said, faux news, fake news, all those things are really intertwining, that people, like, we're in that stage now where we don't know what to believe. So we're making these sort of uneducated decisions on what we feel is the truth without really going in and uncovering what the truth is, because that's quite a job to really uncover all the details that lead to, quote unquote truth. So
It's echo chambers, and
yeah.
social media has been very good at funneling us with other people who are like ourselves.
Yeah.
They they allow people to mirror themselves and feed on their fears and get them angry. And it happens on both
Yeah.
sides.
Oh yeah.
So what do we need to do as a society? Do we need to get together and have, coffee shops? I seriously, where people get off their couch and watching the same news channel each night, or watching Netflix from dinner time to the time they pass out. There has to be a shift.
Hmm.
Uh, and that's a bigger societal trend that I don't know that I have the answer to, but I would love to participate in that conversation.
Yeah, I mean, it goes back to like the theme of this conversation. We keep on talking about herding cats.
Right.
Right? How do you effectively find a way to herd the social media cats of the world, and get them to that? Like you said some simple things like we need to support, our future, right? Our children. We need to provide clean drinking water and access to it. Yet there are so many things, like, it should be very simple, but there's so many weird ways that we can twist those things, right? So like we have a water problem right now in where is it, Missouri, or
Anything west of Texas is very dry.
right, or like, yeah, so
The problem in Missouri is their infrastructure has
right,
failed.
it's failed, right? So how did we get to that point, right? And I also think about, in a much more simplistic way, but there was like a shortage of pumpkins last year during Halloween. All right. And no one really talked about why there was a shortage. Just there's a shortage of pumpkins. They were trying to
Sure.
blame growing season and da 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 da. I'm standing, in my area in the middle of thousands and thousands of pumpkins in a pumpkin field. And it was more about the transportation of those pumpkins than a shortage of pumpkins, but the miscommunication going around, like my parents can't get pumpkins for Halloween on Long Island because they can't get them transported there. So pumpkins are like $25, whereas they should be like 5 or 7, right? So all this tangent that I'm going on right now is that I think, it is like, herding cats, and everyone has an opinion about everything. But I'm super excited to have people like Ron Hunt in the world that are, coaching people through these things, right? And helping people to kind of be better. So
It's such a cool life.
yeah.
I'm so honored that, this is how I'm spending, quote, my retirement.
Yeah. Well, it's a good retirement to have, to make a terrific impact on your community. And you've got so many cool little projects going on. I could probably talk to you forever. But Ron, is there anything else that we haven't touched on that you definitely want to get out there, that you're doing or involved with?
Just love on one another, take care of each other. Whenever there's a conflict, look for the easy things that everyone can agree upon, and start from there and work your way out.
Terrific. Thank you so much, Ron, for being on the show. I'm the host, Nick Koziel. With me was Coach Ron Hunt. Super excited to, have you on the show. Can't wait to get this one out there so the listeners can hear more about your work.
Looking forward to meeting new cool people. Again, for your listeners, more than happy to give them my 7 days to live video for free.
Awesome.
Or that free coaching on Instagram.
Sure. We'll definitely put all that in our show notes. And I strongly suggest that you guys reach out to Ron and connect.
Have a great day, everybody. Thanks for the fun conversation, Nick.
Thank you.
Thank you for joining us in another episode of That Sounds Terrific. Don't forget to check out the show notes and our website at thatsoundsterrific.com to find the contact information and the best ways to volunteer with the organizations that we feature. If you know someone that is doing terrific things and think they should be featured in a future episode, be sure to email us their name, contact info, and short description of what they're doing at thatsoundsterrific@gmail.com. If you like our show, give us a 5-star rating and give us some social media love by liking our Facebook page, That Sounds Terrific. Follow us on Twitter at Sounds Terrific 2 and Instagram at Sounds Terrific. We love hearing your feedback on how to make our show sound even more terrific. Till next time.